Hello and welcome to Spinster's Library. I'm Claudia and today I'm going to present to you some more awful examples of men writing women. I got these examples from books written by men from the Men Writing Women subreddit, which I will link you to in the description box if you want to torture yourself a little bit more and read more of those examples. I should also give you a little content warning at the beginning. There are some really truly awful quotes in here that that talk about rape, also sexualization of children. If you're not prepared for these topics, then maybe skip this video. I did a video like this a year or two ago. I'll link that in the description box as well. And since then, a lot more of these quotes have emerged, so I think it's time for a follow-up. I'm just going to read these out and then I'll let you know my thoughts. Yes, this one is from a book that I read myself last year, The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. She had deep, proud breasts that moved in a teasing way when she lifted her arms to rub soap into her hair. Her nipples had puckered delightfully when she splashed cold water over herself. Ooh, there's nothing more delightful than a bit of cold water on the nipple. Men are obsessed with breast physics, and they very rarely actually have an understanding of how breasts move. First of all, what does a proud breasts actually mean? She had deep, proud breasts. And second of all, there's nothing delightful about a cold shower. Absolutely nothing. Unless you've just been for a long run, which I should mention I've never done in my life. Oh, here's another breasty one from Memoirs of a Geisha by Arthur Golden. Her breasts were every bit as unruly as her hair. Now, I know what unruly hair is, but what's an unruly breast? Or, in fact, a couple of unruly breasts? Like, do they just, point in different directions or what? Oh, wow, this is a good one from Brighton Rock by Graham Greene, a book that I have on my TBR, so that's something I've got to look forward to. This is a whole collection of quotes. Her big breasts, which had never suckled a child of her own, felt a merciless compassion. Now there we find one of the many mistakes that male authors make when describing breasts. Breasts do not have emotions, they don't have brains, they don't have a mind of their own. Graham Greene hasn't quite understood this because the next quote reads, "She felt responsibility move in her breasts." Maybe my breasts are just dead inside because they have never felt any responsibility whatsoever. He saw a mouth which wanted the sexual embrace, the shape of breasts demanding a child. Because motherhood is all that women are good for, I suppose. And the final one is, "She sat there completely at her ease, her big breasts ready for any secrets." Breasts do not have brains and minds of their own. They are not ready for secrets. They are not ready for children. They are just bags of fat. That's all. This one is from The New Confessions by William Boyd. And again, it's a very, very flattering description right there. She had wide, flat breasts, small nipples, okay, with almost no sag to them. Wide and flat, but with no sag. A gentle convexity covering a largish area, like the lid of a soup tureen. Oh, you flatter me. This one is from a book named Waiting in Vain by Colin Chano. I haven't heard of either the book or the author. "She was naked, and the urgency of smoking did not disturb her breasts, which were hard and still, like turtles." To be fair, turtles are kind of boob-shaped. This one's from Dune by Frank Herbert. "Her withered breasts shook with silent chuckles." Same. Another common theme is the inability of male authors to perceive any woman over 30 as even slightly attractive. At the best, they're usually attractive despite their age. So we've got, to be fair, The Count of Monte Cristo is the 19th century novel, and this quote describes Madame Danglars, whose beauty was quite remarkable in spite of her 36 years. She's still got it. This is from Revolutionary Road by Richard Yates. "It didn't even matter that bearing 2 children had left her a shade too heavy in the hips and thighs, for she moved with the shyly sensual grace of maidenhood." She's had 2 children, but she still moves like a virgin. What a compliment. Oh, let's just get back to breasts for one moment. This is from The Shining by Stephen King. Her breasts swayed like ancient cracked punching bags. Can we just take a moment for a PSA to all male writers who might be watching this? Just don't use similes to describe breasts. If you really truly feel the need to describe breasts, don't compare them to turtles or punching bags or soup tureens. Don't use the words firm because that's completely meaningless anyway. Breasts aren't like made of hard stuff. They are not firm. You know what? Maybe just don't describe breasts at all unless they are relevant to the character or plot. Anyway, back to women over the childbearing age. This one's from the short story A Flight of Ravens by Ray Bradbury. There was a great echoing of voices outside, and Helen came back bringing with her a woman of some 50-odd years. You could tell that the woman was prematurely wrinkled and grey by the bouncing way she moved. If a woman in her 50s has wrinkles and grey hair, that is not premature. That is the natural aging process. This is prematurely grey hair, not a woman in her 50s. And second of all, by the bouncing way she moved, you can tell that she was in her 50s. But earlier, the other guy said that the bouncing way of moving was that of a maiden, so how am I supposed to move in a way that is befitting to my age? And now we get to the really unpleasant side of men writing women. So, this is where I'm going to warn you again that if you don't want to hear descriptions of rape and sexualization of children, just turn the video off now. James Herbert, The Rats. Two giggling girls, both in short skirts, both with bouncing breasts, both about 14 years old, flounced past. There is never a situation in which an author needs to describe a 14-year-old's breasts. This one is from Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. She wore a black necklace which hung down in three coils just above her full succulent breasts. This is describing a teenager, a 16-year-old. The description itself, the word succulent to describe breasts is just gross. Can we just not? The word succulent should describe a plant and nothing else. But why do authors insist on these pervy descriptions of teenage girls' breasts? What does that achieve? Does that add anything to the story? The only reason that I can imagine the context in which something like this would be okay is if the story is from the girl's perspective and she is describing older men perving on her, which is honestly an experience that almost every single woman and girl has had in her teenage years. But this is not that. This is the author with his male gaze describing teenage girls in a sexual way for his own gratification and because, I don't know, he thinks it adds something to the character, it adds something to the story. Well, let me tell you, it doesn't. Well, that was dark. Shall we step it up a notch and make it even worse? This is from Ian Fleming's The Spy Who Loved Me, and this is the one about rape. All women love semi-rape. They love to be taken. It was his sweet brutality against my bruised body that had made his act of love so piercingly wonderful. The main definition of rape, the defining feature of what makes rape, is non-consent. Now, you might argue that the word semi-rape could just describe forceful sex or rough sex or something like that. You cannot say all women love semi-rape. That is disgusting. James Welch from the book Fool's Crow. She had been virtuous, although it hadn't been easy. When the drunken hunter of the hard top knots had carried her into the bushes, she had fought him. Her heart wasn't in the fight. Her struggle became a struggle against herself as well. And there were others, but she hadn't allowed herself to submit. Her heart wasn't in the fight? Another common misconception is that rape is only rape if women punch and scream and fight back. The reality is so much more complex than that. And if you in any way think that this description is okay, then you should really do some research about what rape actually means, how consent works, and please make sure that you are not the next author writing something like this. This one is John Harding from the book One Big Damn Puzzler. Here was a woman, they said, who did not give her love easily. Her breasts were the sort to make a man long to reach out and grab them, and at the same time cause him to be afraid and want to run away and hide. It is never the woman's breasts that make a man reach out and grab them. If a man chooses to reach out and grab a woman's breasts, then that is his decision and his action that are a sexual assault. Right, this is getting a bit dark. Let's move back to some fun, good old-fashioned sexism. This one is from Rudyard Kipling's Just So Stories, How the First Letter Was Written. But from that day to this, and I suppose it is all Taffy's fault, very few little girls have ever liked learning to read or write. Most of them prefer to draw pictures and play about with their daddies just like Taffy. And because this video is getting a bit long, let's finish it off here with a lovely quote from everyone's favourite Stephen King from The Dark Tower. For the first time in her life as a woman, she was completely speechless. 'Cause all women do is talk, 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 am I right, guys? This quote shows perfectly how easy it would be to make something not sexist. For the first time in her life, she was completely speechless. That's it. Because that shows that the character likes to talk, and the character usually has a response to everything, and the character is like that. By adding the words, as a woman, Stephen King turns it into a sexist quote. Listen guys, it's not that difficult to not be a misogynist, so just give it a good old go. Thank you for watching. Bye!